All right, guys. So we are doing the Desert Open Tournament Expert level walkthrough. A lot of this will be usable in Pro as well. Club selection and stuff may be a little different, but generally the routes are basic routes. There is nothing fancy, no super hook shots or anything included yet, not knowing the winds. So these should be pretty applicable in Pro as well, since it's the same tee. We're starting off here, hole one. It's an old hole, but it's a tough one. If the winds are the right way, it can be very difficult. For any type of tailwind, we are likely going to be taking the white route. You're going to want a good distance driver to accomplish that hole, or that shot. Thor's hammer level 4 or higher would be great. Apocalypse 2 or 3 or higher would be good. Or extra mile, 7. You could probably get away with a 6. You're just going to really need to hit a really good ball. It's about 3 topspin. You don't want to overdo it. You can go past that fairway. So 3 topspin, a little bit of right spin to help it guide towards the right of that fairway. Second shot will be a wood shot. I prefer the sniper. Precision over backspin here. You don't need too much backspin. It'll be something along the lines of 3 backspin, depending exactly where you aim for on that shot. And also depending on the wind. If we have tailwind, you'll need more. If headwind, you'll need less. Pretty straightforward shot. Just remember to adjust about 10% extra for shooting over the water. The blue line is the line we will take with headwind or severe left to right wind. The idea is to curl it as hard as you can with full side spin. So I suggest a katana or a kingmaker there. Almost any club will do for this shot. Extra mile, Apocalypse, Thor, they'll all work just fine. Quarterback is even an option here. You're going to go about 2 or 3 bars of topspin, depending on the distance you're getting. If you're coming further back on this fairway, you'll want the 3. If you're closer to where this dot is, you're going to want 2. Full right spin, heavy curl. Should lay you up relatively around where my line stops there on the blue lines. So your second shot will be from there. You're going to aim just in front of the rough by that bunker. And you're going to use backspin and right spin to get the ball in or near the cup. This is most definitely an albatross chance hole, but we won't see a whole lot of them. It's going to be, you must eagle this. You need the eagle here. You cannot get away with a birdie on this hole. But we will see occasional albatrosses, and it's very doable, especially if we get that white line. Or heavy enough tail and left to right wind that we can do a super slice and get up on that far fairway. But that's discussion for if we get the wind. Right now, just keeping it simple. This hole is very achievable. It's one you should all pretty much know how to play at this point. Hole 2, new hole. I prefer the blue line. I think that is a better line to the pin and a fairly easy drive to do as long as your driver has, the 230-ish mark distance. I suggest probably a Titan on this shot. You could probably get away with a Navigator or Quasar, but it's going to make that second shot awfully long, and you will have to overpower. A Titan should prevent that. Kingmaker as well, if the wind is heavy enough that you feel, heavy enough, and especially if the second shot is any kind of headwind, or even the drive, then definitely pull out the Kingmaker, or maybe something a little stronger. The white line, this is going to be a bit more difficult. I basically only really suggest this line if on the drive we have a left to right tailwind, because that will influence this shot to go longer and therefore give you a second shot at the green. If you end that white line too short, reaching that green is very difficult. You might even have to bounce off the island there to make it. And although there is a slope towards the green at the back of that fairway, it's still a difficult shot. especially with the the water being everywhere, the over calculations. There's hazards, so it's dangerous. But it again is very playable, especially if you got some good distance on your driver. If you have an APOC 4 or 5, that might be the better route because you're gonna have a short shot to the pin. I've seen someone get to short iron distance on that side. It is doable. But all in all, I think for most of us, the blue line is the better bet. It's going to be a sniper shot to the green. If your sniper is a lower level, I would suggest a hammerhead or a guardian. You don't need a big dog distance, but you want to be close to that 170 mark. Hole 3, an old one they have changed on us. The sand/rough bump has become very difficult. Not to say it cannot be done. It certainly can be done, but it has gotten harder. I have a feeling we're going to see blue line play. This is going to be very dependent on the wind. If we have a right to left wind, I suggest blue line. Left to right wind, I suggest white line. On the right here, the blue line, you need heavy curl. So I suggest bringing whatever long iron has the best curl. You shouldn't need too much spin. It'll be a bar of top or a bar of back, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on the wind we see, head or tail. Full left spin and heavy, heavy curl to the left. The idea, you do not want to hit that fringe above the green. If you clip that fringe, you are going to slow down. There's no chance for the ace. You'll still have a very nice birdie putt, but if you're going for the ace, you need to avoid hitting that fringe. So that is the way to tweak your adjustments going into later rounds if this is the shot. The left line is, I use usually about a bar, half a bar of backspin, just enough to slow it down. You want your hop to hit the fringe because that will slow that ball down even more as it approaches the green, so you don't go flying past the green or don't come too hot into the pin. And it'll be, if you're using something with a power 2 side spin, then you're going to want the full side spin, or about 5 bars. You can touch the curl on this shot, just the smallest amount, but mind that tree that is in front of the pad here. You can hit it. It is in play, and I've curled into it. It can be done, so do not over curl. Just the slightest amount if you feel you need to tweak that over a bit to get it to go towards the hole. Hole 4, another old one. The advice here is going to be very straightforward. Blue line is what we're going to play so long as we don't have any headwind. If it's not headwind, you should be able to make this reach. You're going to need some decent distance in topspin, at least 4 topspin. You don't want to go more than that unless you're landing way short of this white mark on the blue line. Then you can use more topspin. If you have a feeling you might clip that rough, then a ton of topspin is good to help you get past it. But you can fringe glitch this rough, and if you do, you will end past this green. And you can even get that same rocket effect just hitting the wrong part of the fairway. So that's why I suggest no more than 4 bars topspin. That can still happen, but your odds should be small enough that you'll be okay. And if you do fringe glitch and go into the rough, you should be able to reach. But if Nirvana is not strong enough, bring an Amazon so you have the ability to reach on this shot if you go into the rough long. Second shot is a rough bump. I like the sniper, but if your sniper doesn't reach, guardian or hammerhead will get there. Again, you do not need the big dog if you're getting your drive up there. And if you find yourself not reaching with either of those clubs, then go down to big dog or cataclysm. That's a last resort. You want the accuracy. You want to make sure that you're getting relatively close to where you aim for, even on a great shot. Otherwise, you could be in some serious trouble in this hole. With headwind, we are taking the white line. That is a curl shot to set you up short at the end of this first fairway. That is about the best you can do in the expert level with headwinds, because we're going to be seeing, 10-mile-an-hour on average wind. So unless you're, sitting with max clubs, you won't be able to reach this second fairway. So I suggest the white line. What that leaves you with is a curl shot to bounce off of that first island fairway and onto the green. You want to rough bump that still. So it'll be fairway bounce, rough bump green. If you miss the rough bump, you're going to shoot past the green and go into the bunker. It is only about 3 bars of topspin. If you do more, you have an extremely high chance of overgunning it. 3 bars topspin, full left spin with a level 2 side spin, and a little bit of curl. You don't need to overdo it. 30 to 40% is enough. That shot is pretty reasonably done, even from that first fairway. As long as, again, you're going to need about that 170 mark. If your sniper's not there, bring something that at least gets you 170. It'll give you a much easier time to reach, and that's a power 3 ball as well. So if you don't want to waste a Titan, then you do need something like the Big Dog to make this reach. And with something like the Big Dog, with a lot of curl, be very careful not to over curl it, because that'll really mess up your wind calculation, and you can easily end short or long. Again, this hole plays about 10% extra. So if you're at max club, 10% extra. That's going to be pretty consistent throughout most of the holes in the tournament. Max club, play 10% extra on your wind. Hole 5, oldie, toughie. Odds are the blue line is going to be our play. That's a rough bump. Again, I like the sniper here. It's 4 to 5 bars backspin, depending exactly where you pick on the rough. I like to aim right of the cup. I find the rough is a little more consistent over there. So you're going to use as much left spin as you got. And you're going to use a slight amount of curl as well, right to left curl. So that ball is directed towards the cup out of the rough. The white line is the best option if we have right to left headwind. Then it is an option to hit an ace from there. You can play that line with almost any wind, but it becomes a lot tougher to get accurate. With the right to left headwind, it'll be about, again, 4 to 5 bars backspin, full left spin, heavy curl left. You don't necessarily need to do 100%, but it's going to be heavy, something like 70%. Any less than that, you probably will find yourself right of the cup. Hole 6, another new one. Another one, I prefer the left route. It's kind of the same situation as that last new hole, where if you go right and you don't get long enough, the approach to the green is very hard. Whereas as long as you make this third fairway on the left side, the approach to the green is relatively straightforward. You might need topspin or whatever to get there, but you can get there. So for the drive for the blue line, you're going to bounce on that first fairway. 4 to 5 bars topspin will be enough. You don't want to overshoot it. Unless, of course, if we get headwind, it may take a little more than that to get towards the top of the fairway. But wait to make that adjustment until you play it out. Count on 4 to 5 being enough. I like to do 1 bar of side spin, basically. To counteract the second fairway, you are hopping on that. It does have a slight hill where that V is. So the left spin is to counteract any bounce to the right you may get off of that. Your second shot, again, I like a sniper here. This is a pretty sniper heavy tournament in my opinion. If you are a guardian person, you can use it on most all of these shots. You don't need this topspin as much with the woods in this tournament. 2 should be enough in most cases. So we're going for a lot of rough bumps, and we're going for a lot of straight on into a hill. Like this one is straight on into a hill. the left side of the green has a slope. So if you can find the line onto that slope, you have a pretty good chance of slowing that ball down near the hole. At full distance with a shot all the way up to the top of this fairway, it'll probably be about 1 to 2 bars backspin. This is depending on wind, but probably about 1 to 2 bars, just a touch of it, and just a touch of the right spin to get it to influence on that hill. The white line is for you daring folk or people with really strong clubs, because you really, where my ball guide ends here is not where you want to be. You want to be close to the top of that fairway to have a decent shot at the flag. You do have trees in play from this line if you don't get out far enough to the right. And if you mess your drive up too far to the right, you can go into that bunker. So this side, in my opinion, is more risk than reward. It is playable, and the winds may call this to be the favorable shot. Off of this white line there, with a right to left tailwind, we may see power slices onto this next fairway. So that will be a heavy reason to consider the right side. However, the standard shot is definitely going to be the blue line. Your second shot, if you do manage to go right and stay safe, is again going to be a wood shot. This is one that if you do opt right, I would suggest something with more backspin than a level 8 sniper. A level 9 would probably work. Level 10 is definitely going to be okay. But if you don't have a level 9 or 10, I would suggest either Guardian or Hammerhead if your Hammerhead is ranked up enough. Because you're going to need backspin because you're aiming much more direct to the flag. And it's going to be a harder bounce because you're going to be curling it in there. You're going to hit that last fairway just after the rough, backspin and left spin. How much backspin you need, I can't give you an exact answer. I've only seen the shot done, and I didn't pay attention to his backspin, unfortunately. But he reached awfully high up there. So that made that shot doable for him. A lot of us with lower clubs, I feel like the left route is safer because you may be shooting, just past this rough on your bounce. That white line, that white dot on the blue line may be very high up there for some people. If you got a level 2 Apocalypse and you're playing expert, you might not make it very far on this last fairway. You might only be halfway or a third of the way up there. And in which case, a level 8 sniper, you're going to come out just past the rough on your second shot. So you'll need topspin, which is why I wouldn't suggest the Guardian. It is very dependent on your clubs and play style. But as far as I know, the right side does need that backspin to really stop that ball if you're reaching that shot. If you happen to make it with a long iron, I'm going to suggest the same thing, probably a Saturn, to slow that ball down so you can be more precise and go for green instead of going for a really long roll. Hole 7. Tricky one that I haven't exactly gotten adjustments down for yet, but I know the shots that are capable. The blue line is the one I've practiced the most. That is a bounce from the first fairway with a sniper, about a bar of topspin. If we have heavy tailwind, you might not even need that bar. But left to right wind, about a bar. Headwind, it's probably going to be 2 bars, maybe 3. Your second bounce will hit the second fairway, third bounce to the green. It plays pretty straightforward. I would suggest a wind ball here for sure, and make sure you at least have side spin 2 or are very good and comfortable with how much to curl when you need to if you're going to bring a side spin 1 ball. If you have something like an Easter ball that you feel is good for you on this hole, it puts you at a good club distance, then just make sure you've got good control over your curl, because you will need control if there is a heavy side wind. The white line is going to be a heavy backspin shot with a driver, more likely than not. If you're playing a wind ball, especially something like a Mandera Power 1, that's probably going to be a driver distance right there. It's probably roughly around 7 bars backspin. So a high-level Thor will get there. A maxed out rocket, absolutely. You might even be able to go straight to green with 100% backspin. It might be worth a try. I plan on trying at least one time to bring the rocket during qualifying, unless I really hone a shot down with my second account first. But I do plan to try it, so keep updated for that. But white line could either be directly to green or towards the very back of the first or the last fairway in front of the green. Heavy backspin, little bit of left spin, unless the wind is right to left. Then you're going to probably want just one bar of right spin to counter that push. This left fairway is probably also a viable option, but I have not tested it. And the rough bump is also an option, but it's a tricky one to get down. I did hit the rough, but kind of just stopped dead short in it. So if you're going to go for the rough bump, and you are successful, definitely share it on the 19th hole. I'm sure people would like to see it. But these are the two routes I suggest going into it, not knowing the winds and knowing general clubs of what people are going to have. These are two viable options to take this shot. You could also white line with a Guardian with like a Kingmaker. That'll probably put you in around the same zone as that blue dot. So there's multiple ways to attack this hole. I really have liked the blue line with the sniper, and I have a feeling that'll be my play come weekend round, but I'm going to test some other ones out still. Unfortunately, the practice hasn't been too kind. We haven't been getting too many of these holes, so I've only played each one a couple times, doing my best to give as much information as I can before the tournament starts, but a lot is going to be updated come probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Hole 8. This is one I feel the right side is definitely the better play. The left does put you at a very nice line to the flag if you can manage it, but you can kind of see it on here. Directly left of that blue dot, there is a nasty little hump in that fairway. And if you hit that hump on the roll, it'll send you directly into the rough in front of these trees, and you can be in some serious trouble. It is recoverable. I have done it. I've seen people do it. You can get out of there, but we're trying to play smart golf to win a tournament. Putting yourself in the rough in front of trees is not smart golf. The blue line is by far the most common route you will probably see. Just about a bar of topspin. Take down some of that topspin if we get tailwind. Maybe even no topspin. Straight, if the tailwind is directly in the line of this blue line, then one bar backspin will probably be needed. Something like the Apocalypse, you want curl here. And a little bit of right spin, because you want to come towards the far, you want to be at, 1:30, 2 o'clock on this second fairway here. As close to the rough as you can, because that's going to help you avoid the trees on the second shot. If you end up a little more left, you're okay. You just need to curl around these trees. And you're going to rough bump. With a sniper, it'll be about 2 bars of topspin. With a Saturn, it'll be about 3. So it depends on your distance and where you land. Basically, just each club you go up, it's usually about a bar more topspin for a rough bump like that. That is where I like to shoot it from how I've played it. Very, very doable shot. I have albatrossed it, I've eagled it once already and come close a dozen times. Not a dozen, but a fair amount. The white line is also a very good option if you have a higher level driver, are willing to risk something like a power 4 ball, like an earth ball, and we have good tailwind in this direction. You will full topspin bounce over the rough, land your first bounce where that second blue dot is, and roll to the end of this fairway. If you can hit that shot, you're looking at a short iron shot to the green, so a thorn going to the green, and it's a very makeable shot. Especially if you are not comfortable with rough bumps, this is going to be the line you want to achieve if you can reach. Because this blue line, you have to take that rough bump. There's not a club that'll have enough backspin maybe a max guardian, maybe, to hit that green and stop and stay on green. So the blue line is rough bump only. If you do not like rough bumps, you will have to go white line, or you'll have to do a tricky shot to the left and get way up there so you can use this fairway in front of the green from the left side. But I suggest staying right here. It's more consistent. And the rough bump is very doable. I believe it's about a two bar top, and I line up a little right so that I need left spin also to get to the hole. That'll help also in avoiding the trees. So it's the route I suggest. Those trees, again, are definitely in play. This last par 5 is a doozy. I am basing how to play this one almost entirely off of the second shot's wind. If we have left to right wind, play the white line. If we have right to left wind, play the blue line. Reason being, the blue line is going to be a very difficult shot if the second shot is left to right wind, because those trees will be in your way. If the wind is right to left, then we're going to be lining up right, and we can also curl it, and we can make sure we come around those trees and, again, rough bump into the green. To get that shot, you want to, again, bring your apocalypse, and then you can use a side spin 2-ball. So like Titan would be great. Or if you're bringing something like Thor's hammer, you're going to need side spin 3 to get to that little patch of fairway. I like to line up just in front of the bunker, full topspin, and you want to just bump the rough and come out into the fairway. If you miss the rough, you will go too long. And then that second shot, again, is a curl around the trees, rough bump. The left shot, the white line, again, is for left to right wind on the second shot. You bounce at that first blue dot with a heavy amount of topspin, right spin, and a little bit of left to right curl to try and get up that fairway as far as you can. The second shot is going to be a curl shot. Now, if we, like I said, if we have the left to right wind, this is why you take it this way. You won't need to power slice to have enough curl as long as you bring a side spin 3-ball. You will not need to power slice to get that ball to curve in enough, bounce over the water, bump the rough, and come into the green. It's going to be 3 to 4 bars topspin, depending exactly where you're hitting. You can use your ball guide as a rough idea. It won't be showing as left, or I'm sorry, as right as you're going to go because of the curl and because of the wind. But you can use it as a reference to know when you have enough topspin to cross the water. Do just enough to cross the water, and you should be safe. If you overdo it and you hit that fairway or green on the bounce, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to go really long. It may even be a water hazard on the back. It's a tricky shot, but if a very strong, like 10-mile left to right wind, it's an easier shot than trying to play around those trees from the blue line. So then I suggest going to that left side. That's why I said very, very, very much pay attention to your second wind in qualifying rounds. And that's going to be a big decider for you on which way is going to be the way to continue this hole in the later rounds. This is one that, please, anybody that is watching this that plays expert, please post the second shot wins, if you wouldn't mind, on the 19th hole. Give people a heads up so they know which route would be better to take from the get-go. Give our guys a little bit of a chance. Whoever does take that risk, we love you. That's awesome. But if nothing else, I will share it if I don't see anybody sharing it before I take my round. I unfortunately always work Mondays, so I won't be able to get my round in until after work, and by then usually many people have gone, and I usually only do pro on Monday, so expert usually waits till Tuesday, but I may switch that up this week depending, check on other streamer schedules. That's about all I've got for you right now, guys. Please, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to message me on Facebook, ask on the 19th hole, directly comment on this video. It's not always easy going through all the information based off of little lines on the screen. One day I will figure out how to do shot by shots in here without having to upload, 96 pictures in order to make it work. I hope this does help. It's been very difficult getting tournament holes for me, so I'm sure it has for everybody. And the lack of practice definitely makes something like this a little more needed in the community. So I hope that it's at least enough to steer you guys in the right direction. Like I said, there will be an update. I will make an updated guide after I play my qualifying rounds to give people a better idea of how to attack the weekend and the opening rounds. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the 19th hole on Facebook. It's a great community. Tons and tons of places or people sharing, how they do holes, asking questions. Most all the streamers that I know get publicized through them, through the 19th hole. Someone will usually post a link, so it's a good place to stay in touch to find other streamers. Fun and James, good to watch. Santos GTP, Helios, RJTV, of course, Jesse Both, we all know, the starter and founder of the 19th hole. Also a great streamer to tune into. Juan Golf Clash is a great one. Kenneth Ivey, new but great player, has some good information. There is tons of great info out there, guys. We will all help you get to a better place in tournaments, hopefully get you a banner. Stay tuned. We'll see you guys Monday, if nothing else, for round 1 of the qualifiers. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.